接下来我们将进行的是第一场的特邀演讲，让我们邀请总统府资政、经建会前主委陈柏志资政来为我们主持。本场自然演讲人为 Professor 崔云师。Professor 崔云师来自韩国西园大学，演讲的题目为全球终身学习优先重点及当代趋势，对台湾永续发展挑战与对策的启示。Lessons from global lifelong learning, priority and career paths, challenges and strategies of sustainable development in Taiwan. 接下来，让我们将时间交给主持人。
Professor Choi, Chairman Huang, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to have this opportunity to host the special speech of Professor Choi from Korea. Well, because we always have a lot to learn from Korea. So I hope today we can learn a lot from Professor Choi. Well, among many things that we should learn from Korea, I would like to ask Professor Choi to tell us how to take real action. Well, I was taught by my professor, Professor Wang Zuozhong. We all know Professor Wang was the major designer of Taiwan's economic development in the 1950s and 1960s, and more than 50 years ago, when I was in the university, he told us that we are different from Korea. Korea can take action, but we keep on talking. The example he gave us is the steel mill. At that time, Taiwan and Korea were talking about how to build a big steel mill for our economy in the 50s and in the 60s. And in 1970, Professor Wang told us that we are still talking, but the steel mill of Korea is now operating. The growth rate of Korea's production in steel was quite high, but we still do not have our steel mill. What we have is that our growth rate on the paper is as high as the real growth rate of Korea. We keep on talking how to build a steel mill, and the planned quantity of production grows year by year, but we are still talking. Okay, and so today, I hope, if time permits, please tell us how to take action, because we have been talking about lifelong education also for more than 40 years. But we can see from this pamphlet that Professor Choi has been working on lifelong education for more than 40 years. So please tell us how to take action. Please give us.
Good morning, everybody. It's my great honor to be here, invited as one of the special speakers. First of all, I would like to send my deepest appreciation to the Huang Funhui Foundation Chair, Professor Huang, and also many of my colleagues and friends. In particular, I would like to send my deepest appreciation to another Professor Huang Fusun. He's my senior friend and colleague. So long time. So almost we are the family. And Wu Minglin and Wang Zhengyan and Shou Mei, so many friends here. I'm so happy to be here in this morning. So I would like to present today the two parts. The first one is the global trend of learning and education in the context of lifelong learning. And the second part is how the Korean learning series activated with a variety of the activities to upgrade and to motivate the lifelong learning policy. In particular, for the senior groups. In Korea also we have the old age, super old aged society in Korea now, like Taiwan, very similar situation. So I heard the first keynote speaker's speech is so wonderful, and also I strongly agree with his opinion and the policy proposals. Thank you so much. Our theme is the prompting lifelong education and the building of learning society. What is our challenges and the strategies of sustainable development in Taiwan? My name is Choi Woon-shil. I'm a professor, emeritus professor of the Aju University. Aju means Asia University in Korea. And also the chair, the professor in Seoul University, also in Korea. And now I'm in charge of the chairperson of the Korean Community Education Foundation. And also the newly launching another big foundation, the Future Planet Foundation. Also, I take charge of the chair. And now, I'm also serving as the chair of the UNESCO Institute of Lifelong Learning, UIL, as a vice chair of the governing board. And also the chair of the EAC. EAC means expert advisory committee chair for the GNLC. As you know, GNLC is a global network for learning city operated by the UNESCO. So there are more than 279 GNLC in the world. And in Korea, we have more than 60 GNLC. And in Korea, in the nationwide, 196 learning cities. So that's the reason I would like to introduce some of the Korean trends. And also, first of all, I will introduce and reflect about our global trend. As you know, UNESCO Confintia 7. Confintia means a Conference International Education of Adults. The first Confintia was held in Denmark, Elsinore, in 1949. It's very long ago. So every 12 years, it held in some other cities in the world. So this is the Confintia 7. Last year, it was held in the Morocco, Marrakesh. So the more than 5,000 people get together. And we discuss about what is our priority, global trends and policy directions for the future, unknown future. We don't know how is our future will be held. So we discuss about that. Also, it is organized by the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning. That is the Marrakesh 2022. So in this conference, a lot of the global trends and issues was, it is our very important lessons and implications, also in Korea and also in Taiwan. Why this kind of the big international conference we need? What is the value of Confintia? To encourage, to promote, and to upgrade the accessibility for adult learning and education. Nowadays, Before, they just used the adult education, but now, instead of education, they focus on the learning. In some cases, beyond the learning, they focus on the journey of learning, like a travel, learning travel. So nowadays, they use the ALE. A is the adult, L is learning, E is education. So ALE is the now new trend concept of the UNESCO conference. So the main issue is the human right and the social justice and the shared value and the sustainability and the inclusive society. No people left behind. Every people is our concerned group for in the lifelong learning. And the AI, digital literacy, in particular for the senior people, there are a big generation gap in the digital literacy. So nowadays, we will focus on the digital literacy in the age of AI. And finally, the international communication is very important. Not only in the domestic area, but also in the international world, we need our communication. So, Conference 7, before the main conference, we have a regional preparatory conference. So from the 5 regions, from Africa, from Arab countries, and Asia and the Pacific, and the Europe and the North America, and the Latin America and the Caribbean. There are 5 official regions in the UNESCO conference. So every region, the many representatives get together and discuss about what is our region's main agenda for the AAD, the learning and education, in the context of lifelong learning. Before, we focused on the right to education, right to learn, but nowadays they say right to lifelong learning for all. There is no different discrimination. There is no exception. All people is our concerned group. So before the main conference, we gathered together and the regional preparatory conference. It was also the main, I think so. It is very, very important conference. So their issues is the transformative agenda. What is our current concern? What is our priority of policies? And what is our recommendations in each region? And what is our outcome document? They also declared, they also established a frame for action. So the FA, so it is really represented in the main conference. We call it Marrakesh Framework for Action, MFA. It's a very important declaration. So all the UNESCO member countries, more than 195 member countries now, according to the MFA, Marrakesh Framework for Action, they did their best to make and to prepare the response for the future uncertain society. So UNESCO member state, one of the big issues is the lifelong learning for all. This is Marrakesh, very old city, more than 1,000 years. So the Conference 7 is the slogan is the harnessing the transformation power of adult learning and education. So within this context, MFA ALE is the focusing on the new social contract. The government should focus on the every man's right to lifelong learning for all. It's a new social contract. It is not just our duty, not just our responsibility. It is our basic human right. So we need the reimagination beyond the old version, beyond the old traditional version of the imagination, we need a re-imagination, retelling, rethinking, and remaking, and recreating the new version of lifelong learning in the world. So the Marrakesh framework for action is like this, 6 slogans, and the 6 agendas, very important things. The first one is the establishing framework and governance arrangement. So the GO and NGO and all concerned stakeholders get together to make a new framework and also the governance arrangement. Second issue is the redesigning systems for the learning and education. They really like the rethinking, rewriting, retelling, reimagination, and also the redesign. Design is very important. So the redesigning system for the education and learning. And the third one is ensuring quality of learning. We already have the quantity era. After the quantity, we need the quality of education. And the third one is we need the value. So from the quantity to the quality. And nowadays in the value of age. So the redesigning and the ensuring quality of learning. And the first issue is the increasing funding. This morning, many speakers focused priority on the funding for the, particularly the senior learning in the context of lifelong learning. So they also priority is the increasing funding and the promoting inclusion. No people left behind. In particular, the vulnerable people and the disabled and handicapped people, we need an inclusive society through the lifelong learning for all. Nobody has any barriers to access the learning and education. Finally, it's expanding our learning domains. This is the 6th area of Marrakesh Declaration and the Marrakesh Framework for Action. So toward this kind of the visionary declaration, we need international cooperation for enactment and monitoring. Monitoring and evaluation is very important, but all the countries, it is very weak. We have not enough system of the monitoring and evaluation, and also the very poor funding for the adult learning and education, in particular for the senior group. So this morning, I also agreed, wow, it's the main issue and the priority is almost similar in the global standard and the global trend, and also the Taiwanese the education policy, and also in Korea, almost similar. We have common issues. The first one, for establishing the frameworks and the governance arrangement, we need translate the vision to reality. Always we focused on the think globally, act locally. It's very important. Although we think in the global perspective, but our action, our implementation is in local base. So local context is very important. In Taiwan context, Korean context, and the USA context, in many countries, their base is the local context. So vision to reality is very important issues. You know, they say the beyond just the rhetoric to the reality. It is not important, the rhetoric. Just the same is not important. The important thing is to action, implementing and practice. How can it manage and how can it action for the other learning and education? So under the context of the social contract, we should strengthen the human right right to lifelong learning, creating a culture of lifelong learning. Also very important is the CPE. As you know, what is the CPE? Continuing professional education. And for these issues, we should upgrade and activating our intergovernmental dialogue between the international level and also in the domestic level. We should, with the central government and the local government. So, and in the village, even the village level, we need a communication and active dialogue. So we need a multi-sectoral platform to support ALE. Including the ministry and the civil society organization and private sector and the youth and also the university and ALE providers. And the second issue is the redesigning systems for ALE. Regarding these issues, we must reflect and thinking about the complex learning ecosystem. It is in Taiwan, we have a very advanced and highly motivated learning ecosystem among our Taiwanese nations. So from now, we should broaden our network and the dialogue with other countries in the global world of education. I think so. So in this stage, the role of the government is very important, including the central and the local government is also very important. Allocating our finance is very limited. All the countries same. So how can we allocate it? The limited finance to the all levels, all priority domains for the other learning and education. And again, they highly focused on the coordinate and monitor. How is our monitoring system for the senior learning and the other learning and the lifelong learning? Is there any monitoring system? The most important thing is the self-monitoring. Self-evaluation system is very important. Not only from the expert group of outside, but also our main internal monitoring and evaluation is very important. And the diversity of learning spaces, for example, in Korea, many of the spaces, even in the stations, subway station, and even the apartment, the women's club space, is all spaces provided for the lifelong learning in the local level. And so finally, they focus on the Tibet. What is Tibet? Training, vocational education and training. Through the enterprise, through the government, through the university, through the many private enterprise also, all together, we ensuring the Tibet upskilling and so many reskilling training is very important. And also all the divergent concerned groups, university, library, museum, workplace, public space, cultural institution, sports and recreation. Yesterday, I visited one elementary school attached to lifelong learning center. Even there are the wrestling, very popular program, singing, dancing, and wrestling. So it was very impressive for me. Even the old aged people get together, really enjoy the wrestling and the dancing and the chorus. So wonderful. So this kind of the all cities concerned, stakeholders and institutions, we are together to get together, okay. And in here, in Taiwan, we have also the learning cities. In Korea, we have 196 learning cities. We are a very small country, but many of them, most of the 90%, more than 90% is get together to establish the learning cities and recognized by the government. we have the National Institute for Lifelong Learning, so-called NILE, N-I-L-E. I was the second president of the NILE in Korea, so all the lifelong learning system and establishing the platform, even the establishing the archive and the training the expert is organized by the NILE. So I would like to suggest in Taiwan, we need some kind of the national hub organization, national hub platforms for the lifelong learning. And nowadays also for the redesigning, their priority is the focused on the disadvantaged and underrepresented groups, the vulnerable groups, disabled and handicapped, and the multicultural groups, and the low-income senior groups. They are the vulnerable and the marginalized groups in our country. So for everybody, we should ensuring the flexible learning pathways. There is no one learning pathway. Variety of the learning pathways is very important to organize this. And to ensuring quality of learning, we should do the role of the volunteer tutors. We have the many volunteer workers and the many volunteer community workers. We ensuring their role, and we should support for the volunteer workers and tutors. And also the professionalization of educators, enhancement of their qualification through upskilling and reskilling, pre-service, in-service, and the CPE in the university and the research institute. One of our emerging new field of lifelong learning is the global citizenship education. Education for sustainable development, ESD and ESG. ESG is the already mentioned in your speech, so the ESD and education for health and well-being, newly organized by the WHO, the World Health Organization. Now they just started a new flagship project, One Health Society, including the physical health, mind health, and also the soul health. This is the One Health concept of the new lifelong learning context. And increasing funding, we need a wide diversity of stakeholders, various ministries and employers and the local government. All stakeholders. Blended funding is very important. Not only from the central government, but also these all stakeholders should contribute to build up the blended financing for the other education. And also, we can call for the international and the global funds for other learning and education. I'm not sure how can you actively participate and mobilize from the global fund, global international fund for the Taiwanese, for the learning and education. And also in Korea in particular, there are a lot of the ODA funds. You know, ODA is the Official Development Funds to the Africa and to Asia and to many countries. A lot of fund is provided by the Korean government under the name of the ODA. So we can mobilize all kinds of the diversity of funds for the other education. And finally, to promoting inclusion to the inclusive society, we should focus on the marginalized, disadvantaged, and underrepresented vulnerable groups lifelong learning opportunity. How can they easily access to the lifelong learning occasion? And how can we support for the vulnerable groups? In particular, the heavy disabled groups and the handicapped groups and the senior low-income, the poor groups. We should support for them. So for this, we should mobilize the outreach teaching and outreach learning. We don't need to. Why don't you come to here? The teacher, educators go out to meet the learners. Even in the very remote area, we can go there. We call it outreach programs. So in Korea nowadays, in particular for the senior groups, so many outreach programs we have. And for the expanding learning domains, workplace learning and digital literacy learning and branded hybrid learning, online and offline integrated. We call it hybrid learning. So expanding learning domains for the old adults and so many, we have the SDG, 17 goals. You mentioned Professor Fang Fei, the Education 2030 by the UNESCO, UN. So under the 2030 education goals, we set up the 17 SDG goals. SDG means Sustainable Development Goals. So there are many sustainable goals. So which goals we will highlight and we will forecast, we will decide. In Korea nowadays, the ESD and global citizenship education, and also the climate action, and also the carbon-free movement, and the barrier-free movement also, very highly focused under the SDG 17 goals. And in the Continental 7, there are big contribution of the civil society organization. They also declared their action recommendations, and all the recommendations is reflected for the main Marrakesh framework for action. And also the next global trend is in the Continental 7, they published the Global 5, Grade 5. You know what is the grade? It is very famous report. What is the grade report? It is the global report on adult learning and education. It is a fifth grade report. So we already translated into many countries' languages. So in the local level, every people read the global report on adult learning and education in their own languages. This is the grade 5. So the key message is the from Belém to Marrakesh. What is Belém? Belém is the city of the Brazil. So the Continental 6 was held in Belém. And the 7 is the Morocco, Marrakesh. So they say from Belém to Marrakesh. So the focusing point is the monitoring and evaluation. It's very needed. And also the strong support in the financial aspect. So they say most of the country, it is not enough for the funding. It is not enough for the evaluation and the monitoring system. These 2 points is focusing on grade 5 report. And how can it increase the participation and how can it towards the inclusive and the equality society? So to increase the participation rate, I very with the impression I heard the our survey output of the Taiwan this year. With a very highly portion of the people in Taiwan, they would like to participate. They already participate the adult learning, but most of the global countries, 60% of the countries, the prisoners' participation when the education for the disability and for migrant is not no change after 2018. So still, the population is not enough. So we should, how can we expand our accessibility and how can we providing the learning opportunity for the minority groups. Because of the impact of the COVID-19, the other education offline participation is very low. So we should enlarge the hybrid, blended, including the online and offline opportunity. We should expand for the vulnerable groups, including the senior participants. And the second point is the citizenship education. It's very important. Also, even in Korea, below the 5% participate the citizens education program. Most of them really enjoy the humanity and the leisure program and learning traveling. But the citizenship education is very low percent of the participation. That's the reason the grade 5 focused on the citizenship education and also the ESD and how can we expanding the opportunity and how can we expanding the strong funding for the learning and education. And also in the Content Tier 7, we newly published the one more, the very critical books. The title is the Making Lifelong Learning a Reality. It is a handbook for the other educators and the other learners. They say, we stop just our slogan, visioning, and rhetoric. We should start implementing and activating and practice. It's very important. We should learn, we should benchmarking from all the countries. What is their strong point? What is their good point? How can we learn from our colleague countries? So in these books, there are 3 points. One is how can we create the lifelong learning? And how can we redesign the lifelong learning? So we should benchmark from the deep study, case studies. So why lifelong learning? And why other education? Why other learning? So we should utilize this kind of the handbook. It's a very new one and also the big impact for all member countries, 195. And from now, I just very briefly introduce the Korean learning series. Our slogan is learn together, live together, and love together. It's a 3L is our Korean learning series slogan. This is a photo of the president of the Korean Association of Lifelong Learning. He's a city mayor of Gwangmyeong, the first learning city in Korea, and the second blue one is me. And the other one is the learning city, the chief director of the UIL. So welcome to Korea. As of 2023, we have the 196 Korean Star Learning City. And also the more than 60, including this year's new member, 63 global UNESCO learning cities we have in Korea nationwide. Our current first strand is the inclusive learning city. For this purpose, we focused on the disabled and handicapped people's lifelong learning right and opportunity. For this, our slogan is barrier-free movement. There's no more barriers for the vulnerable groups. For the future of our live together, we remember the 4 pillars of the UNESCO lifelong learning. Learning to know, learning to act, learning to live together, and finally is the learning to be. So nowadays we add up the 5th pillar, learning to survive. Learning to sustainable development is the 5th pillar of UNESCO lifelong learning. So one of the best practices, the GNLC Unpyeong's Citizens College in Korea. They've always this kind of the round table and many forums and conference in the city level. The issue is the barrier-free. So the many people proposed. So what kind of barriers? The first one is barriers of our thinking. Second is beyond the barriers of our society. And beyond the barriers of our city and village level peoples. And beyond the barriers of our everyday daily life. And beyond of our all blind spot. We can see, but we didn't care. We didn't do anything for the blind spot of our society. So this is our barrier-free campaign and the barrier-free movement issues. So our slogan is to move forward, a future of live together. And the second is for the inclusive learning cities, no more idle space. We don't want any spaces utilized for the activating of our lifelong learning for citizen-friendly village learning cities. Within 10 minutes, within 5 minutes, within 3 minutes, nearby our village learning center, there are a lot of them, more than 10,000, the village learning center. We call it a street learning center. So many small libraries, the small space in the village. We provide the village talk show and the village story documentary book reading study circles. And there is no owner. Only one table they have in the bookstore, and many people get together. And they discussed, and then read the books, and also they recommend the many village level policy strategies to the government. So we make policy recommendations archived in our website. And also there are our village guide club. And how can we becoming a life writer class? Only one book in my life, even in the illiterate people, they can make their own one book in the life. You know, they can read and write, but they can make the storytelling about their life. So just utilizing the 17 photos, they make one life history books, their biography. It's very popular programs. And also the 3 to 5 learning excursion to street center, and they operate the one-day class, or the weekday class, or the month-day class often, and to revitalize the street learning centers. After the COVID-19, they provide many learning cafe, learning gallery, even the learning salon. So many people get together, 3 or 5 people in the street learning center, and they discuss and learn. They really enjoy it. In some cases, dancing and singing and music instrument playing. Really happy. So most of the attendees is the senior people. You know, even the 80 or even beyond the 90, very old ages, they really enjoy the lifelong learning. Second strand is the K-digital friendly citizen, the friendly city project. Real life digital experience we provide. We provide a digital capacity building. For example, Anywhere platform. There are so many Anywhere platforms for digital literacy. So most of the senior people, they come like this, and in some cases we can send the teacher to outreach program. So we provide the digital competency diagnosis. How is your digital literacy score? How is your level? The first is the diagnosis. And then one-to-one, mentor-to-mentor close-up education, face-to-face. And later, repeated education is the non-face-to-face learning. So all the senior citizens really enjoy the kiosk. How can I utilize the kiosk and the bank ATM and even the reservation of the training situation? Yes. So it is very important point. And in Korea, it is very famous program. It's the 50 plus flat foundation. So every people after 50 age, after retirement, they get together in the 50 plus school and 50 plus foundation and even the 50 plus citizen colleges. If they want, we can provide the honorary degree of the graduate, honorary degree of master, and the honorary degree of the doctorate, even for the citizens college. So in the citizens college also, they provide a digital life skill experience, kiosk, and the fast food ATM and the kiosk like this, and the KTX is a Korean Training Express reservation, and the movie theater reservation, so many kiosk experience. It's also upgrade our Korean people's digital literacy. And in Korea, we have very strong legislative structures, nationwide lifelong learning promotion system, from the central government to the local government, even the village level. So the national level, we have a national constitution, lifelong learning act. It's a national mother law. And in the metropolitan, we have 17 metropolitan provincial level. We have a lifelong education promotion ordinance. And every local city, we have the 196 lifelong learning city. They have their own lifelong learning ordinance. Lifelong learning ordinance for disabled. Lifelong learning ordinance for borderline intelligence lifelong learning. And ordinance on the adult literacy education. Ordinance on the education for the human right. Ordinance on the civic education. Most of the learning city, they have their legal system. They have their own lifelong learning ordinance like this. And under the Ministry of Education, there are the National Institute for Lifelong Education. It's a very big institute. I'm a second president of this NILE. And also the provincial metropolitan level, we have 17 lifelong learning institutes. And also, in every learning city, local, we have the lifelong learning center. And more than 3,850 village level, we have the central lifelong learning institute. So, the Korea National Lifelong Learning System, we have the portal. The name is the Always Learn portal. So everybody always touch and always access to the learning portal, and they can get a lot of the information, and they have the good information. How can I apply? How can I access? How can I attend the needed lifelong learning? And also for the poor group, and for the vulnerable, disabled, handicapped, and also the low-income class, we provide the learning voucher. So they can use this voucher without money. They can any kind of the customized, and they needed program, they can join. They can really enjoy it. So in the Gwangnyeong city, GNSC Gwangnyeong, they provided the learning voucher and the learning scholarship for the people only for the after 50. So for the senior groups, they provide a voucher. So we have also the very collaborated international network. The first one is the LPLC, Asian Pacific Alliance for Learning City. I would like to invite the Taiwanese other education group to this international network. And also the strong collaboration with the UNESCO headquarters and the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning. I worked during the 10 years as a vice chair of this institute. And also the many learning cities invited international, like this, international forum. Very currently, there are one international forum on the education for sustainable development, ESD. So our slogan is, don't eat our future. Don't eat our planet. It's very important, the slogan of the ESD, the Unpyeong Learning City organized this kind of the international. This is the agenda and the program. I was the main organizer of this program. So we declared ESD declaration, it's a very important declaration on the ESD. So if we want, I will share the declaration of the ESD in Unpyeong. Okay. And very last week, there are one more international programs. Asia Pacific Urban Forum in Metropolitan Suwon. Suwon is my hometown and my university is also located in Suwon Metropolitan. So we make the climate action. How can we, in the context of lifelong learning, how can we make a climate action through the global citizenship education? So together with the Learning Cities Fund, Climate Actionable for International Forum. So our agenda is post-pandemic urban climate resilience. The WHO Academy Learn for a Healthier World is one of our focusing. Yeah, it's my final. For our, I have many policy strategic recommendations, but in afternoon, right around table, I will share the policy recommendations. And in this moment, just this word is my concluding word. For our better life, for our better community, for our better world, we need a better people, better learning, and better future. The 5 R we need rethink, reimagine, reflection, rerun, and also the research, so the 5 L. So if we want to go fast, go alone. If we want to go far, we go together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Choi. I believe we all learned a lot from her. And she talked about a lot of how to take action. Why I mentioned the importance of action? Well, you may know Chairman Huang of this foundation is a great educator, a great teacher, professor, but
in the global level. Yeah.
However, he is also a great statesman to lead actions for democracy in Taiwan. He was the Secretary General of President Lee Teng-hui. And then, more than 20 years ago, he organized a foundation, a think tank for President Lee. And he said, this think tank is a think tank for action, 行动智库啊. And now, this educational foundation is also a foundation for action. So, he will lead our action for education and for lifelong education. Today, because of the limitation of time, we cannot let you talk so much. But however, I hope in the future you can cooperate with Chairman Huang to push up our lifelong learning in Taiwan. Thank you very much. Thank you.
全世界的主持与同个特仪式的演讲。现在请两位已布置台前与黄董事长一同合影留念。Please come to the stage and take a photo with us. 黄董事长也一同到中间合影留念。谢谢三位，请回座。感谢各位贵宾参与今天的第一场演讲讨论。接下来为茶叙时间，会场外备有精致茶点，欢迎各位贵宾自由取用。提醒您，洗手间在会场的右手边，请参阅指标等等工作人员询问。下一个场次讨论的主题为台湾终身教育的发展与挑战，将于11点10分开始。届时请各位贵宾准时入座，谢谢您的合作。